Hi, welcome to Cellular Energetics, Part 5 of our study guide. Two key ideas here that were listed: photosynthesis and cell respiration. And cell respiration has two types: aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So we're going to go over those in this segment. So we look through our key vocabulary. There's a couple things I want to point out here. Glucose is C6H12O6. That's the chemical formula. Because it has both carbon and hydrogen in it, it is an organic molecule. Right, so it's organic. Carbon dioxide and oxygen, right, are considered inorganic because they do not have both carbon and hydrogen together. The chloroplasts and the mitochondria we've already talked about in our previous sessions when we talk about what cell organelles there are. Chloroplasts are found in plant cells, but not in animal cells, where mitochondria are found in both. When we go through these study questions, we'll touch upon all that vocabulary. So to start the study questions, it says, what is the role of sunlight in photosynthesis? Well, the role of sunlight is to activate photosynthesis in plants. So when the sunlight hits the plant, right, there's a specific organelle in the plant that receives the sunlight, and that organelle is called the chloroplast. The sunlight is used to take water and carbon dioxide, and those things are used to be able to produce C6H12O6, oxygen, and more water. This is called photosynthesis. Photo means light, synthesis means to make, so this is to make with light. Notice that we take two types of molecules that are inorganic and we create a really important molecule that is organic. We also generate in this process oxygen, which is a waste product for plants. So our products are here on the right, and our reactants are over here. All right, so water and carbon dioxide go in. Those are reactants, and out come our products, which are glucose, oxygen, and then we also have some water as a vapor that comes out as a gas. This is how sunlight is used to create a different type of energy. So we are changing it into a chemical energy called glucose. So we take light energy and change it into chemical energy. That's really important because we need to get this glucose energy into our cells, animal cells, in order to be able to get energy for ourselves. We cannot lay out in the sun and say, feed me, because we do not have this thing, this chloroplast. Right? Chloroplast is the only organelle that can do this. And this is found in plants. And it's typically just a round circle in a drawing like that. And there's a whole bunch of them. So you'd see a bunch of them around the cell. When we move to our next question, the reactants and the products we've already done. All right, so our reactants and our products. And now we're going to move on to cell respiration. So that C6H12O6, which is glucose, when it's in the presence of oxygen, it becomes or is used to generate a couple of things: carbon dioxide, ATP, and you also get a little bit of water out. So carbon dioxide, ATP, which is an energy molecule. I'm going to go ahead and label this energy, and water. Our reactants are in this side of the equation, and the arrow points to the products. Notice that we take an organic molecule And when we're all done, we have carbon dioxide, which is inorganic, and water, which is inorganic. Oop, I left the C off of that. Right, this is inorganic. ATP is short for adenosine triphosphate, which is a type of sugar. So this is organic. All right. So these are our reactants and our products. But notice in this equation that I have listed here, and I'm going to have the circle in purple here, oxygen is being present. When oxygen is present, that means that this process right here is called aerobic respiration or cellular respiration. So this is aerobic with oxygen. That gets you a lot of ATP energy. So in this equation, I'm going to highlight our sources of energy. This is chemical energy right here. This is chemical energy right here. The sugar or the glucose and ATP. Both of those are energy in these equations. Now, what would happen if there was no oxygen present? So what if we took glucose and produced CO2 and a little bit of ATP and water? All right, so this is a small amount of ATP here versus up here, which is big. That's why I wrote them in different sizes. Again, our glucose is organic, carbon dioxide is inorganic, water is inorganic, ATP is organic. So there's no oxygen present. So this is called anaerobic respiration. So I'm not quite done with my products because there's a couple of products we can make. If you're an animal cell, in addition to the carbon dioxide, ATP, and water, you're also going to produce something called lactic acid. All right. Sometimes this process is called fermentation. So anaerobic respiration or lactic acid fermentation, because that's what it makes, lactic acid. Now, if you're a yeast cell, and we looked at yeast cells, if you remember in lab, yeast is going to produce alcohol in addition to the carbon dioxide, ATP, and H2O. Now, the ATP is essential for all cells to do work. So you want to make this ATP. So animal cells, when oxygen is not in a large supply, some of their cells might not get oxygen and they might start going lactic acid, like your muscle cells. If you're a marathon runner, you might end up with some of your cells going to this lactic acid fermentation because oxygen isn't present in some of your cells. So this is fortunate. It allows us to be able to keep making energy. Why do cells switch to anaerobic respiration when oxygen is low? That's an advantage. This is a huge advantage, right? You still need that energy. Even in a small supply, it's better than nothing at all. So aerobic and anaerobic, the difference is oxygen and no oxygen. We can produce a couple of different things. So if it's lactic acid fermentation, we get lactic acid present. If it's alcoholic fermentation, we get alcohol. Notice that the reactants for one, H2O, H2O, is the product for the other. And if we go the other way, the product of one is the reactant of the other. So these equations are essentially reverse of each other. You just have to be careful of that energy molecule ATP because photosynthesis does not make ATP. Only the mitochondria in cells make ATP. Right? That's the only place. Okay, so that is all of the questions, I believe, and all of the vocabulary has been used. If you have any questions or need any help with this, please come and see me. Thanks.